I'm Chip Townsend, and this is the Team Chip Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Team Chip Podcast. I'm super excited to be here with Team Chip Headquarters Chief Instructor. He's our leadership team development coordinator and instructor, trainer, development coordinator, Mr. Manny De Los Santos. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Nobody better for something like this. We're going to talk about attendance slumps, man. And I know the martial arts industry, a lot of times we think kind of summertime. And at this point in time, we are getting close to summertime. So I thought we'd talk about kind of attendance slumps and kind of how we work our way through that. And just, I don't know, one of the first things that pops in my head is when things slump, don't look for excuses. Like,
Right.
The thing that pops in my head is, people go, oh, it's so cloudy outside today. And by the way, it's really cloudy today for us too. It's really cloudy outside. And I'm just going to have a hard time getting anything done because I'm just so nappy.
Right.
Where my first thought is like, dude, the weather control you, because if the weather controls you, probably in the wrong industry, one of the two, probably shouldn't be an entrepreneur of this person, right?
Right.
So anyway, don't get into blaming, lowering your standards, if attendance slumps. What I mean is you have a booming day and the next day you come in and it's like half attendance. So you're like, what's going on? And sometimes this can kind of shake your box and make you uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah.
But there's some things that we need to talk about around this. Your attendance slump shouldn't dictate your attitude or leadership. That's what you thought on that.
So for me, attitude is everything.
100%.
If you're in those attendance kind of matter for things that are going on, you don't let that affect your mood. Your MC, we have that quote where life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you respond to how you happen to life. Right, exactly. So we can't let those things affect us, and we have to have the right attitude going into these kinds of things.
Absolutely. I bet. And I find it interesting, almost every podcast, that we do when we're talking about business, the martial arts school, entrepreneurship, any of that, it just keeps coming back to attitude, culture, and leadership. Those things are just so key. And around attendance slumps, well, then keep in mind, it's just going to happen. Mm-hmm. The punch that knocks you out is the one you don't expect.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so I have a personal, you can speak into this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, but I have a bit of a dilemma. I don't believe at all in manifestation. Like, I am a diehard Christian, but the Bible tells us to think on things of excellence, to keep our mind, it's that old computer, how do you say it, lingo, garbage in, garbage out.
Yep.
Right. Put your mind on good things. And I think that is so important that we do that. But here's my point. Accept slumps.
Right.
That's what
life is fluctuating and changing all the time. Things go in cycles. Mm-hmm. Back in the old recruiting days, we had every 6 months something changes. Recontact people you haven't contacted in a while because life just changes.
Absolutely. So and my point, kind of back to the manifestation thing, is I don't believe that. If I think money appears in my hand. Like I'm not a fool. I'm not stupid. I understand that. God gave us gifts, talents. We take them and put them to work. He said, work the garden, right? Put them to work. And we, through our work and his blessing, get hopefully the result of positive things, right? But I also believe that it's a little, hard for me to define. But if I think hard enough, for instance, if I just decide for some reason, maybe I just met you and I go, man, something about this guy, I just don't like this guy, bad thing. But if I do that, I think that anytime I'm around you, because I've already kind of made that decision and I'm thinking I don't like you, I'll even kind of subconsciously do and say things around you to poke you a little bit, prod you to get you to do things that I can go, yeah, there you go. I don't like this guy.
Self-fulfilling prophecy kind of stuff.
A little bit, yeah. And I know it sounds weird. It's like, but that is, again, I was want to be really clear. That's not like a manifesting thing. It's like, I just think that if we think on things hard enough, we will begin to create those things through our actions,
for sure,
and inevitably through life. So
we're able to be open to see those opportunities because we're looking for them.
100%. So another quick example. I may be a little off track here, but I am a hammer about goals.
For sure.
Let's set goals.
Oh yeah.
Because every time, without fail, for 30 years of business, that we sat down and made a clear goal, we always, I'm not going to say we always hit it, but we always move towards it.
Absolutely driving toward that goal for sure.
Yeah, because it's forefront of the mind. We're thinking on it and we're thinking positive about it, things like that. So anyway, I just want to be real clear about that. And I'm not again, a manifestation guy, but I do believe that what we think on hard enough, where our most powerful thoughts go, our life follows, right? So anyway, point of it is you come in, you have a slump. That should not affect your mindset.
Right. Just be ready for it. You know it's gonna happen.
Right. But don't think so hard on it, expecting so much that you create it. that's the way, that's the balance. That's the balance. And that's where things get tough. But the kind of again, the big point is leadership, instructors, your team should not let the attendance guide their attitude and the culture of the building. They should always be in control of it and guide it. Right.
Sure. Absolutely.
And so I'm gonna say one more thing here. I'm gonna tap out to you, but one of the things I've told instructors for years, like let's say today I have, or yesterday I had 20 kids in a class or 20 adults, and tomorrow, I don't know, the weather changes, whatever happens, boom, 3 people show up. Instead of walking in and looking at those 3 and going, oh, I have to spend an hour with these 3 people, or oh, there'll just be no energy in the room because there's no people. Think, what a gift. I get to spend some time with these 3 people, give them an amazing experience, bring the energy to them, teach them some details I might not otherwise get a chance to teach them, and then hopefully have them telling everybody, hey, you missed out yesterday, you better do the class tomorrow, right?
Oh yeah.
So what is your take on that, and how do you feel about that?
I've got a lot of takes on that. There's some structural things that go on. You get less students. That's a better student to instructor ratio. Those detail times, those one-on-one times, and more eyes on them. Those smaller classes. I've had many students come to me. I enjoy smaller classes sometimes because the pace isn't too much. It's at the right pace, and we're able to spend more time with each other in one-on-one stuff. So, that's one thing. And the other thing is, I'm so passionate about my job, whether I'm teaching 100 or I'm teaching 10. I'm the energy in the room. They're not. The amount of people in the room doesn't dictate my energy. I'm the energy.
Thermostat, not the thermometer.
Exactly.
We pass through our team all the time, right?
Yes.
I also want to be really clear right here that I'm not talking about you started the year with 100 students and you're hitting June and you're 50. They're going out drive the door.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about just attendance slumps where, and things to think about around this. Why would attendance slump? We laugh about this at our school, but literally a kind of a heavy weather change will have an attendance slump. What I mean by that is if we have, 3 weeks of really beautiful sunny days and one day turns out cool and rainy, I can almost guarantee you there will be a drop in attendance.
That's one classes for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why. It just, everyone I think kind of goes, oh, it's different today. Let's just watch the weather, do something outside. I don't know. Right. And vice versa. You have, 6 weeks of rain, and then one day the sun's out, boom, you can almost guarantee you're going to have a little lower attendance.
Yeah.
And then there's seasons. I just wanted to get to real quick. Seasons where you can expect attendance to shift. End of the school year, moving into summertime.
Oh yeah.
Right.
A lot of field trips, a lot of band things, choir concerts, all that kind of stuff is cyclical.
They have other camps and activities that they get involved with or whatever, which is fun, right? But, there's cycles. And in the summer, school kicks off and they get into that normal life cycle for the next 9 months of school, whatever that is, because of, just the way we've systemized school at our system, for the next 9 months. So there's a shift sometimes there. And usually that back to school time is kind of, I want to say a boom, but you pick it around after people are ramping back up and getting into their normal 9 month of life. So anyway, attendance slumps. So I just want to be clear. It's not that you're losing all your students. That's a problem on the mat. That's a problem in your business. That's something different. This is just those slumpy days. And I think kind of the overarching point is you can't let those slumpy days take control of you.
Right, because it can turn into a problem and an issue if you do have some man, and then your attitude changes to that.
Absolutely. So, some things to think about is, do you run your classes differently whenever it's smaller, right? Or, if you have not only big class, do you run things differently now? From a structural perspective, we should, because we got to manage the class different, but I'm talking about, attitude, emotional, are you there and on task? And another thing too is your energy tied to the number of people in the room. And I can see how that's easy. Walk in and you're pumped about this, you're, succeeding and classes are growing. It's like, yeah, that's easy to be fired up. And then you come in on that low day. For sure. Is your energy tied to that? So anyway, let's talk a little bit about why, leaders might struggle during a slowing time.
Yeah, for sure. As a leader, you got big classes and one drops, and you might start thinking it's your fault. You take it personal. Oh, they don't like me, or maybe I made something angry. You start to go down the negative hole there, and you take it personal.
Right.
And especially during these times, we know things are cyclical. It's really not a personal thing, but
Right.
it's initially easy to take that and think it's a personal thing. It's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to think like, where are these guys at? Why aren't they here? And that's actually the wrong focus. You got 8 students in front of you who are here who are excited. I always say, oh man, all the strong students showed up today. And I heard them. Thank you for being here. Other people were sleeping in the rain. You showed up to work hard today. So yeah, it's just an attitude.
Absolutely. And again, we've already kind of hit on this a little bit, but sometimes the way this can impact you is, you come in lower intensity, kind of dragging through class, or in the back of your mind, you can't focus on the students you have because you're maybe worried about the ones that didn't show up. And you're going, oh man, where'd little Johnny go? He's been here real solid. And all of a sudden he's not here for a couple of days, right?
Right.
It's not, during class time, in that attendance time is not the time to be focusing on that. This is an admin issue that you usually get back to after the class. And so, when you have attendance slumps, what are some things that they can do when they feel a slump happening? What are the things that we do admin wise?
So on the admin side of things, we want to, if child's are in mind or students are in mind, we call them, we reach out to them. After Black Doctor said, you go, hey, Johnny has been here. Instead of while you're in the middle of the warm up thinking about that, make a mental note after class. Immediately go call that person. Don't wait. Don't let the that negative, impact snowball. Right then and there, just go make a call. This is an easy fix. When we calls, having somebody on the phone, pretty regularly, contacting all of their first 100 days kind of students, like all those kind of processes that you already have in place. Work those processes. Trust the system and work them instead of getting emotional and falling back.
Right. Well, and I see it all the time. I talk to, small school operators that are like, oh man, I'm really struggling, having a hard time getting the rent. And they're kind of in an emotional panic about what's going on instead of logically backing to look. So you said, depend on the processes and systems, you might need to build those processes.
Right. So you don't have to been there. It's time to look for that.
Or reach out to somebody like us, a Team Shirt Curriculum Solutions, or, Hanchi Covard's Tory system, and find someone that's built that model or borrow it from someone else that refined it in that word, right? And so it might be a good time to build those systems and put them in place. But part of the point of this is, for me, we say to our students, when you walk on the mat, take your shoes off. When you bow, you kind of empty your cup, you blank your slate, you put your problems in your shoes at the shoe shelf. You walk on the mat fresh. And when you leave the mat, if you've done that well and you pour into yourself and train hard, you're more equipped to solve the problems that sometimes just disappear out of your shoes during that hour, right? What's the same for instructors?
For sure, 100%. There's little things that we can do to prepare ourselves. It's having a good class plan, going over the class plan with your instructors and with your people. Hey, class is a little smaller. The drill that we had isn't going to work with this many students, so we're going to modify a little bit. And it's easy to modify if you have a plan to modify from.
Absolutely.
When you're shooting from your hip, that's whenever the emotional does get involved there. Now you're kind of panicking. I wasn't ready for this.
Right.
And now I don't know what to do. And you kind of start to flounder. And that builds a panic and a kind of a snowball effect. But if you have a good class plan before that class goes out,
right,
you're in a class plan. Can I modify this? Can I make it bigger? Can I make it smaller?
Right.
And it's easy to go off of and riff a little bit off of that.
That's beautiful advice. And the thing is I was, again, just talking to a small school operator recently, and hey, do you have a class plan when you go in? I don't. I just teach off the hip. How do you teach off the hip? Now, let me tell you, I used to do that too.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. So I know the answers and ways, but how do you teach off the hip and try to get them to think and kind of problem solve a little bit? Well, at their last testing, I just kind of think about, I think they might need to go this direction.
Right.
So, man, you're saying great stuff, like have a class plan, but that depends on having a good curriculum as well, right? If you're going to have a functional, good curriculum, that you can plan out of that. Okay, what do they need? How does this flow? How does one thing attach to the next? And how do we build that and put it together? So I think the encouragement here would be have the curriculum, have the class plan, have a class plan to modify from. Whereas it's easier when you, and I know for myself, when I plan classes, I overplan the class. So what I mean is I always plan more than I know we can get in there. And if some things fly a little fast, we cover a little more. The hell you guys will anticipate be a little bonus, but I never run out of materials.
Right.
Yeah. You don't want to be that instructor to, and I know we're talking about, slumping attendance, that you don't want to be that instructor that is at the front going, next, I think, we'll go do X.
Right. It's just a snowball effect that happens whenever we're not prepared that way. Any anomalous day, whether it's attendance or whether it's extra attendance you didn't expect or somebody's out sick, any of those kind of the changes can affect your mindset before you go onto the mat and start teaching. So just the way a student's supposed to put their paws in their shoes, when you put on your uniform, your instructor top, that black belt, that's a moment for you to say, all right, this is who I am, this is what I'm about to do, and center yourself and go on to do the thing you can get well. And be prepared. You expect, you've said it many times before, you don't get angry when somebody cuts you off the road. You kind of expect people to get that. Be prepared. It's going to happen. Attendance slumps are going to happen. Attendance booms are going to happen. So just be prepared. If you're ready for that, kind of expecting it a little bit, you're never going to get just sideswiped by it or emotionally jilted by it.
Absolutely. And another thing too, we have a couple of things here. One, we're talking about the instructor walking down the mat. We have an instructor treating. I will teach this class like it is the most important class I'll ever teach. The value behind that is just, I'm going to get in the moment, be my best for these students and serve them, right? Absolutely. I'm courteous, I'm patient, I'm enthusiastic, I'm strong. I lead by example. We want instructors to get in front of the crowd and bring the energy and be that 100%. So it's a good time for an instructor, especially when you come in to see small groups today and you feel a little down. Walk yourself back through that creed. Get yourself back on top and get lifted up, because those that are there, you have 5 today of your 85. They're there that want you. They want you at your best. They don't want you. They need you. And they need you.
So that the one that showed up needs you. That's what they're there for. So you should be encouraged by that. Like, whoa,
right.
They're here.
That's why they're there. That's why. But then after class, don't get on the phone.
Yep. Go on that. Hey, we just had a killer building class. Where'd it go?
What happened? Where you at?
I was actually excited about this topic because it's usually my number one triage step. Anytime there's a anomalous thing that goes on, are we leaving great classes first? Was that class the best class I've ever taught?
Love it.
Because if the class is, yes, if that class is amazing, if I did my absolute crazy best, when the students that did show up go home or get on their phone or talk to their friends, they're going to say, you missed such a good class. You want to get back there. Word of mouth is still the best marketing tool in our city. And you're going to listen to somebody telling you more than you will, an influencer or some sort of marketing plan.
Right.
So if you lead just booming, amazing classes, whether it's rain or shine, the people are going to talk about that and they're going to want to be there.
And that's consistency, Chief. We talk, one of our kind of rallying cries is consistency is key. Yeah. Consistency is key, and we got to stay on top of that. So, give us some thoughts kind of on your, how you handle it. You can control what you can control. What are some of the things that you do around those in-house ops to keep us on track, whether a class is huge or small, so we're not sideswiped by attendance loss.
If from the leader perspective, when I have, I'm kind of expecting low attendance and we know we're going to the season, I kind of prep the instructor team and instructor ref and leadership beforehand. And we're going to the season. Don't forget, choir's going on, band going on. We already got a couple of leadership kiddos that are able to be out for this or for that. That's your ding. If I forgot, oh yeah, the season that's coming.
Right.
And you kind of prep the team. Hey guys, I know this might be a little low energy. It might be booming, but just in case, know that it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let it deter you. Let's keep our energy high. Let's keep our classes still strong. Just because unless that doesn't mean it's the time to let the structure in the class live or get a little wild. It's fine. It's actually better to hone in on that time and show that consistency for the students who are maybe floundering or fluctuating. And be clear with your students, and with your team. These students are still got to get that good class, good expectations in front of them, and you hold in those expectations. Just because the class is smaller is not a day. All right, we're just gonna play dodgeball today. Those students are there probably because they want extra time. they may be the students who don't have the luxury of missing a day or two because they may not get the curriculum as fast as the other students.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
you got to be thinking the reason they're there is because they kind of want to be there. They kind of need to. So you should keep their expectation high. Give that one-on-one side. Get that extra moment with those guys.
Right. And it's kind of popping my head while you were talking. Just recently, we had someone sign their daughter up.
Right.
Chat with them, Air Force officer, super nice guy. And he said, man, we got to find a way to burn some of her energy. So some of those guys that show up on those days that are kind of slump days, their parents are needing you at your best to kind of to help them out. We're all yeah, for sure. They come home, we can get them down, we'll get them, have a good night, right? For sure. And so it's just so important that we run every class like it matters because it does. Whether there's 3 or 33, right? It's a big deal. Smaller classes can equate out to, getting some more reps, a little tighter coaching between, the students,
Right.
more connection, building those relations so they stay with you, in modeling correct behavior. They see you as a leader consistent no matter what the weather does,
Correct.
no matter what the economy is doing, no matter, I'm flashing back to COVID,
Right.
and having school owners call me once or twice, sometimes 3 times a week, literally going, I don't know what to do. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know what to do? I hustle, stay consistent, hustle. What can you control right now and get on it and get to controlling it? So what are some systems, Mr. Manny, that we have in place that help us to prevent drops whenever people do slump a little bit, they get out of the habit, then they can fall off. So what are some things we know here?
Well, tracking attendance is super key. Right. They built into our belt progression system, and the system is, there need a specific minimum number of hours to qualify for test loads, and progression. That's also kind of a back end trick for us to be able to keep track. Oh, so has been here. Right. Because you can pull a report that says, so-and-so, out for a week, out for 2 weeks. That's right. That's a trend.
Right.
Let's give them a call, give them a message, send them a letter, some sort of touch point with those students. So tracking that attendance is the first step to being able to build that process.
Right.
So if you don't even track attendance, it's going to be hard to see who's been here, who hasn't been here.
Right.
We've had that conversation before. Have you seen Noah Johnny? I don't know if I've seen him yet. Well, you might have just missed him, but you can always check the record. Oh yeah, he was here.
And there is an attendance record. Right. You have a light way. And I want to beat this up, but every time we've ever thought we knew where there was a problem, a big percentage of the time we're wrong.
Absolutely. And the numbers are real
until we look at the real data. Right. Okay. And my quick example is I used to think we would lose more green belts than the level, which is about 4 belts in, is white belts all day, every day.
Right. It's still
that's interesting. Right. But I didn't realize it until we began to truly track attendance years ago and truly look at those data metrics and understand that. Right.
Absolutely.
So, in preventing drops. So one of the other things that we've done, now I've been really curious, Manny's done a masterful job of assigning certain instructors kind of cohort groups in our school now. And this is not about bragging at all. At our main location, we're 450 to 500 students. Right now we're in the mid 450s, I think, right? So we're down a little bit from the 500, but the point is we have enough that we have several key instructors, and we divide the groups into kind of cohorts by ages and ranks. And then those instructors are responsible. So you alluded to this a while ago, the 7 days out. Talk about that a little bit, plus Tori and kind of what she does.
Oh, absolutely. So one of our big numbers that we track in good metric is that 1 week out number. If a student hasn't been in class in a week,
right,
that could be a trending sign that maybe they're losing interest or something's going on. Even if it is a medical thing or a family issue, that's a good, immediately building we're touch point with them and say, hey, we haven't seen you in a week. How is everything going? Start that conversation, start that dialogue. And that's really important to do that. So each of our instructors has that cohort to do. If you're running the school by yourself, the lists can be a little big, but it's super important. If you're thinking, man, I have to call 250 students, 300 students, you actually only have to call the 30 or 40 that are out. So that does kind of lower the number a little bit for you. The other thing is we are really intentional on those white belts. You're leading to the tracking the data and noticing that the white belt area was where we're losing the most. So we have to be intentional and kind of target in on making more touch points with those students, making more connection with them and kind of bringing them into the culture and making it a consistent thing for them. Most people who start in any kind of training program, consistency is the hardest barrier to do. The first time they feel soreness, the first time they feel out of place or awkward, it's harder to go back.
Right.
You know, jumping on the mat's the first step. The next step is going back on the mat after that initial feeling of I don't know what I'm doing, or I feel out of place, or I feel uncomfortable. So having somebody there to kind of bridge that gap and kind of hold your hand through that process is really important.
Right.
Ideally, all of your instructors could do that.
I'll see it.
But as we're developing strong leaders who have multiple things on their plates, you know, that is another ad they can have. So we've done a great thing. We've added what we're calling our new student acquisition specialist, the person who handles specifically those first 100 days of white belt students. And for us, her name is Tori. She's a great student. She's on the mat training hard, really well. Her sister, you know, started training before her black belt, and then kind of she came into the family, into the fold, and has done a great job taking control of this thing. But it's a high rate position. She needs to be on the mat, and she needs to be able to handle phone calls and this side of the front and kind of do that. So her responsibilities are, when somebody comes in for a trial, she's at the door, high five, and then, hey, I'm Tori, I'm going to walk you through your class. And she's that first touch point with them, and a smiling face and a culture person that they can kind of get comfortable with and kind of lower that barrier of the social structure. You know, a person comes in and thinks, oh man, martial arts school, the master's going to hit him with a stick, or, you know, be gruff and mean with me. And she's just a smiling face that kind of just blends out that way here. For sure. And then, you know, she helps them tie on their belt the first time and teach them how the uniform goes on the right way, and just kind of walks into the weird, awkward changes that they might expect or might not even know to expect. And then she's on the mat with the first couple classes, kind of getting them comfortable. If they get us comfortable, they know they can go to Tori. Okay, Tori, I have a question about this, or I'm feeling comfortable with this. They know to go to you. The parents connect the dot, the kids connect the dot, and she's like that. One stop, that works for them. And then as they progress through and as they move on, you know, Tori kind of hands them off to whoever the cohort leader is after that, and they're in charge of kind of keeping track of that and doing that. But she also, after that initial on the mat experience and the physical aspect, she's writing letters to them saying, hey, you did a great job in your first class today. After their belt testing, hey, I'm so proud of you. You did a good job. She did that first testing job. You know, she calls in. She's really on every day. She's checking that out when week list through the whole school, but specifically on that white belt word list. And she's giving them a call. Hey, we missed Jay. Is everything okay? And we have specific little scripts that are about different circumstances. So, you know, you just did your first class today. How did it go? That's a touch point for that. We get to see you in 3 days. That's a different conversation. Is everything okay? Is there anything wrong? How are you feeling? You know, just creating different entries and conversation. That's conversation. But and you know, and she's done a great job about staying consistent with that. Right. So it can get a little tedious because it's almost the same process day in and day out. But that's what martial artists do. We grind and we do that same process over and over again, and then it becomes a muscle memory. Consistently staying in contact, right? Once she comes, you know, Tori comes in, that's our first thing to do is check out 1 week list. Just in case, oh, we haven't seen this person. Let's call them now. Let's message them now. Maybe they're, oh yeah, I haven't good. Let me come in today. So you might save a student by just being consistent with that. So that's a daily task for us to do that. That's one of those things that we talk about planning ahead and be ready before it happens. So she's on that every single day, making that all week.
Prevention is the best medicine beyond hospitals, right?
Absolutely.
You know what I will say, I know this is about kind of attendance slumps, and attendance slumps lead to people possibly falling off the wagon. Right. So that's where this kind of came into play and some of the systems that are in place. But since Manny has gotten this operational at our headquarter location and our secondary location at our headquarters, we've gone down about a full point plus every month on our retention rate. So we track our drops, and it's made a tangible difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so
it's putting her in that position. We can track monthly when she started to when she didn't, where that's dropped.
Absolutely. And I think not only that, but having an instructor assigned to cohort groups kind of also more personal. I want to separate this a little bit. She's really focused kind of on her white weapons, whereas the white yellow is just that beginning time to get them acclimated, be a contact point for them, get them going and get them oriented to the program, right?
Right.
And then once she ties them off, like you mentioned, to a cohort leader, the instructors are also looking at the white belt attendance, but they're looking kind of at all the belt levels, all the experience levels, and following up with those guys in certain groups. And we have them strategically divided up. And so the instructor that works with them the most is the cohort leader. So they have kind of a personal connection. So when they make that call or shoot a message out, it's from the kids or the students here. Well, they're reaching out to me because they care. Anyway, so all this stuff matters. And again, it kind of stemmed out of when you have attendance slumps in the summer or spring break for a week, or, the Christmas season, at the end of the year, stuff like that. You just can't let that control you. You need systems in place. You need your team well prepared. You made a comment earlier and kind of rehashing some things. I think it's really important you hear this. He said, we pre-frame the team. Like, we know the cycle and the season we're in, and we go, hey guys, we could be a little off on attendance. Don't be shocked either way. If we have a heavy day or a light day, but whatever day it is, what do you give? 100%. Any important part in it, right? And so again, we kind of keep beating it up, and I find it just so cool and interesting in ways. It always comes back to attitude, man.
For sure. 100%.
Are you positive? Are you not? Are you a hard worker? Or are you not? And all of that just goes back to your attitude. So, attendance problems, don't start when numbers drop. They start when the follow-up stops. So, just make sure, we talked about it earlier. Whether your instructor teach those 5 that showed up today, like there's no tomorrow, and kill it. And then when you're done, you can bring the worry back a little, and you can go in there and let that worry fuel your fire to follow up. Hey, are you guys okay? And I'll tell you, I remember before when caller ID happened. Okay, so I'm dating myself. But when you actually had a landline and caller ID, right? I have some of that stuff, but I vividly remember, going to my office at the end of the night and kind of skimming through my student list and thinking about who I didn't see. And a lot of times people just pop in my head like, oh, they've been here in a couple of days. I'll worry about it, right? So run in the office, give them a call. They wouldn't answer. The next day, they'd be in class, right? Go out, oh man, Sue, it's great to see you in class today. I saw your name on my caller ID and knew I had to get back. Right. It's so simple. It's so simple. It just takes a little bit just to reach out and touch. And so today we're so blessed because we have CRMs where we can blast it out across a group of people with a text or email. You can personally text, call, whatever, so
You automate some of that stuff. Yeah, for sure.
and automations. Oh, what a gift, right? It's so powerful. So anyway, just remember what we've alluded to a little bit. Your team can fill that dip when if you're now separated like a chief instructor for an owner, and you're not on the mat as much, but you're leading the team and training the team, and they're out there leading the mat. They can dip off, and so then it becomes your job to keep them fired up. So set the tone. Standards stay the same. Effort does not change no matter how many show up on the mat, 5 or 50. And again, we beat this up. Hold the team accountable. Your team is a mirror of you. Do you have work ethic? Then they will have it. Absolutely. You have respect. They will have respect. Do you have skills? And they're likely to have skills because they're training with someone that they wear, right? Sure. Absolutely. Super important that we, for lack of a better word, lead the room. Lead the people, lead the team. 100%. And lead from the front, right? The best gyms in the world didn't say, you guys go run up that hill. No. They jumped in front. They had the sword. They said, let's go. Let's go, right? It's so important that we grab a hold of that. So things to think about this week. Run every class. If you're a slump time, like it is a packed class. Be on fire. Give those kids a reason. Give those adults a reason. Whoever you're teaching, to go and tell their friends that didn't make class, man, you missed out. It's a great class. Yeah. Reach out. If you got a few students missing, take the time, reach out to them. I've also, and I'm sure you've heard this from parents too, had parents come in and say, I can't believe I got a card. I can't believe I got a phone call. I can't believe that whatever. I can't believe you guys, what they're saying is I can't believe you care, right? And another way to look at this is it's the difference in going to the grocery store and you say, excuse me, where's the coffee? And they go, aisle 49. Or you walk in and look at you, where's the coffee? They look at you and go, oh, absolutely. Follow me.
Right. That's right here. And we have decaf, we have regular. Like that extra step is super important.
Absolutely. And we need to be doing that in our schools. Right? Absolutely. Big days, small days. No. And remind your team back to that, inspiring your team if they're doing most of the leading. Expectations. They have to stay consistent. Big days, small days, it does not matter. And just remember, your attendance is going to go up and down. Your leadership should not. It should not change. So
Absolutely. You know, I guess the last thought that I think about.
I was about to ask you some last minute wisdom, man.
It's the biggest lesson I can remember being in the Marine Corps is, you know, bad leaders spend 90% of their time with the 10% problem makers.
Right.
When they have 90% amazing, good people that they should be pouring into it, building and inspiring and building up. And you'll see that 10% trends to 5 because some of those 10% want that same good attention. And so they pick up their pace so that they get brought to that fold. And that's that leadership by example. That's the rising tide lifts all ships kind of mentality. So focus your mind on the students that are there. In that moment, at that point, we have a list of priorities. During class times, the mat is the priority.
Correct.
Anything after the mat time, that's when we get on the calls. That's when we work on the processes.
Right.
Before the mat time, that's when we work this up. But on the mat time, it's on the mat time. Be there, have a good time.
Yes. When you're in prime time in your martial arts school, which is class time, mats are live, you're not doing admin work. No. You shouldn't be, unless you have a team that has the bandwidth that someone can be doing that. Really, that needs to be happening outside that class time. Knowing you said, you know, bad leaders spend 90% of the time with the 10% of the squeaky wheels. Mm-hmm. I know people that have lost their schools because they had 100 students that were killers, but they had one student or one family that was a squeaky wheel or a problem, and they couldn't stop focusing on it, literally.
Right.
And that in itself becomes, so that advice alone, focus on that. It's the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. Focus on that, you know, 80% that's on it and moving. And sometimes it's 20% that you focus on, depending on what the dynamic is. But you get my drift. So that's unbelievable. All right, well, Manny, one last chance for nuggets, man.
That's what I had. He was that one thing that was the one.
I feel like me. I only had one nugget a day. So share it. I'm done. All right, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed that. We did get something out of it. We absolutely love doing this for you. Let us know what you want to hear about. Like it, subscribe, share it. You know, just appreciate your support in any way you will. Thanks. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for tuning into the Team Chip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, subscribe, share, and or leave a review because we need you. We appreciate you so much. And without you, we can't make this happen. Remember, consistency is the key to success. So go out there and never be outworked.